G'day, Steve Morgan here, ABT and Fishing Media. Back to a little bit of normality at the moment, so I am here for Tackle Fridays. It has been a crazy month. We came at you from AFTA, we've come at you, I've been crook for a couple of weeks, but I'm back out now, back out fishing, back out testing, back out filming, and it's all happening again. In fact, this week I spent a few days at Somerset filming a little bit of content for the Rapala live show, which will be on next week, but also doing a little bit of pre-fishing for the event, and I'm going to come back to that a little bit later in this segment. There's a few products here from AFTA. There's some other products that guys have sent in, got some ideas for what's happening at Somerset. So let's get straight into them. So the first thing is I've got here Rapala Hydro Bags. They're called. They make a variety of sizes. These ones were something that those guys launched at AFTA, and now they should be in shops. So so they range between $25 and about $39. I assume the small one here, $25. This would be something that would be good to put your car keys, put your phone in, everything you don't want to get destroyed. They don't have a waterproof zipper, but they definitely will be waterproof from the ground up. So whether they're sitting under your console, they probably could float around in the bilge, but I definitely wouldn't have them that way. I would have them this way. Something like this would, the big ones, they would definitely hold a lot of packets of Rapala crushed shitty plastics. So have a look at something like that. You know, guys like Mick Horn, that's what they keep all of their plastics in. Plastics, valuables, anything in between. They sort of look cool as well. So they are in tackle stores now, the Rapala Hydro Bags. Keep an eye out for those. They're sort of a one-piece construction. I notice they've got a sort of a welded seam on the back here. There's sort of no way that from there down water's going to get in. So so interesting addition. Also from Rapala, I've got to give those ones back, but these ones here I don't have to give back. I've got myself a few of the wrap stack boxes. So these are the ones, if you haven't seen the video, Timmy uses 3 or 4 of these to change the car tyre, implying that they're pretty strong. And they, tip that over, they are pretty strong. These ones here seem to be really well built. There's not much, there's a very fine tolerance between the top of the dividers and the lid, and in some of the more cheaply made boxes, you'll find if that lid warps a little bit, you can get hooks caught across or even jig heads sliding across between compartments. Pretty sure that's not going to happen with these at first feel, but hey, maybe in a year's time I'll be eating my words on that. So with the upcoming Rapala Bass Pro Series events coming up in Somerset and Ivanhoe, I've got half a dozen of these and I'm actually going to repack my stuff in. I've only got the cheap primal BCF boxes at the moment, which again, they're cheap boxes. They might bend and warp a little bit. Hopefully the wrap stacks aren't going to, so I'm going to load those ones up over the next couple of weeks in my preparation for those 2 events. Let's stick on the Rapala wagon and talk a little bit about the pre-fish up at Somerset. I haven't pre-fished many bass events over the years, but we did take the opportunity to go up, film a little bit of stuff for the Rapala live show with Matt Langford. So good to hold the camera there and see Mitch Petty and Matt Langford talking about what his go-to Rapala baits are, and a lot of the baits that he talked about, he actually caught fish on during the segment. So don't know how much of the fish catching stuff we're going to run, but definitely you will find out about Matty Langford's favourite types and colours of Rapalas. But coming back from Somerset, of course, I didn't refine much down at all. I really went up there hoping that I was going to find a really cool live scope bite out in the middle with the fish up and shallow, because that's what was happening last year. See a bit of the cutaway footage here of some of the scope showings of the shallow bass. A lot of the bait last year was really, really small, and the bass were herding it up to near the surface and getting stuck into it. You could see the fish targeting with jerk baits. Well, after 3 days, I hadn't actually seen many or caught any doing exactly that. Fishing the banks with crankbaits, yep, could catch fish. Fishing the flats with spoons, plastics, little blades, that could catch fish. But I don't know really what was the stronger of the 2 patterns. My biggest 2 fish came off the banks on crankbaits, and maybe jerkbaits would work as well, but more fish came off the flats. Knowing Somerset and knowing that they don't like boat pressure on that joint, I'm probably going to put my eggs on fishing the edges, because I can throw crankbaits around and basically go around the whole edge of the lake and catch fish. And if you find a bit of structure, a little bit of rock, a little bit of an edge, a bit of a break line, bass could be sitting on all of those things. But if I do get out fishing the flats, I've picked up a couple of rods to do that with, and this is looking at live scope for several days on the flats. I can tell you that any bass that gets to within 50 feet of your boat comes and sits under your boat. We always called it forming up under the boat. It's when on your 2D sounder you can see all the bass sitting under the back of your boat. So on live you can actually see what happens. They can hear your boat, they may see the shade under it. When they get to within 50 feet of the boat, they just come straight underneath and sit under the tail end of your boat. And those fish are generally uncatchable. The fish you can catch are the fish that are further away, between 50 and 200 feet away from your boat, especially with baits that run in 30 feet of water between 15 and 30 feet down. So I've decided that the further away you get from the boat, the better. So I went to the Rapala samples bucket. They've got old boxes of old rods that mightn't have applications here, or they didn't bring in, or they've only got one each of them. And I did my little cash deal for a couple of these. These are a couple of the length of these ones, and these are going to be matched with a 3,000 and 4,000 size Daiwa TD black spinning reel. This one here is 9 foot, and there's another one here which is 8 foot long. So I reckon I can spool these up with the bigger reels with some 6-pound braid, a 10-pound leader, and throw some spoons or big heavy plastics over the horizon with these things. Now, we all remember last year Mark Reinbott caught himself a giant bag doing exactly that, probably with a shorter spinning rod, but that kept the boat a long way away from the lure theory. Definitely has merit. It matches what you see when you're watching these fish on forward mode in LiveScope. So by the time the tournament comes around, these two boys here, these two Rapala rods, will have themselves a couple of 3,000 and 4,000 size reels on them. They will be ready to go. So I'm actually looking forward to the 2 Queensland rounds. Those 2 Queensland lakes, they haven't run over for a while. There's going to be some big schools of bass in there, and someone will definitely bring 5 fish limits over 10 kilos, especially in Somerset, but maybe in Wivenhoe too. We didn't really see the full potential of Wivenhoe last year, but this year might be the year that happens. Big shout out to Simon Carter from Sharp Point Jig Heads. He saw the segment we did on the historical lures a while back, and he can buy these Hot Lips planks. So these are the Hot Lips deep divers. He sent me a couple here that he'd painted up himself, and I'll send him back a couple of the originals that he might want to have a go at painting as well. But those Hot Lips I've got there, they may actually be quite a good lure to crankbait Somerset with. That less than 10 foot of water, covering water fast, these lures will do it well. So thank you very much for Simon for sending those in. Also arrived in the mail this week, these Ark Genesis Jig Heads. So they claim to be very environmentally friendly, and they do tell me that this packaging is recyclable, but I think that's an epic amount of packaging for 4 or 5 jig heads. So there's a couple of different sorts here. We've got a very 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll pull them out of their packet. It's a very small round ball jig head, and they look very much like the old squidgy jig heads of old, but I think they're made of tungsten. So the tungsten material, let me throw it up close to you there. You can see it's got that very small little wire keeper, which is great for TPE plastics. Very similar to that one that you find on the VMC Grip R jig heads, but without the collar of lead on there. As usual, you would expect the tungsten jig heads to be very heavy. They are quite heavy, but a very simple design. So there's a couple of different sorts here. The Ark Genesis jig head, there's one that's just a simple ball jig head, and the second one here is, let me pull these ones out. This is more of not a football style head, but it's really like a head that you would have on a swim jig. And it's got a pretty interesting collar there. It's got like a collar that's got sort of cuffs sitting up off it, and I assume for a non-TPE plastic that would work really well and hold it on quite well. I haven't actually put some TPEs on and tried these yet, but I am going to try them with a variety of different plastics on the brim. So the hooks seem really good. They seem like some sort of Teflon coated hook, but definitely those 2 styles of jig head. The guys from Ark Genesis say they've got a whole lot of different stuff in the pipeline, but that's what they both look like there. So if you want to Google Ark Genesis, you might be able to see those. So say here they've got mustard hooks, they're lead free, they're that tungsten material. I'm sure they're a premium price. I haven't researched the price on those yet, but I'm going to try them out to see how they go. Sharp hook points, They look neat, they're very dense, and if it's like anything else tungsten, you'll be able to feel when they hit the bottom. If you're fishing, especially braided leader, you might be able to discern what the bottom is, you know, rock, coffee rock, sand, mud, just by the feedback that you get from those jig heads. So I really would love to see these jig heads in an old style mustard hook box. Just supplied. You might buy 10 of them in a box, just in a box by themselves, so that when you finish, the packaging is totally recyclable and disposable, and you're just left with the jig heads there. I know at the moment they want to show you the product in there, but maybe when they're established, they might be able to make some bulk packs or something that's a little bit lighter on the plastic material. I know the material is recyclable, but you do have to take it in and put it in the recycle box in your tackle shop, and maybe your recycle bin. Not exactly sure how that works, but I'm sure I will get corrected. Lastly, on this Tackle Fridays, I've got a constant eBay search in for second-hand Romanade Mothers. So I've got 2 or 3 of these at the moment. I got one of the big ones. I haven't got one of the huge mother chasers. I do have a negotiator, and I have caught a 1.9 barra on this last season, but this is the first time I bought one. I thought it was a second-hand one, but it came fully packaged. So if you don't know, they're a Japanese-made bait. They're wooden, they suspend really nicely, or they do exactly what they say they're going to do, but the packaging's amazing. So this one comes like a book. I haven't actually opened it until now, and I think my other negotiator does not have that extra hook attachment in the head, so it's a slightly different configuration. 85 grams, 180 mil long. I'm sure I am going to tie a barra onto that one. I really like that sort of sexy shad colour. I couldn't resist the price on this. These normally sell for about $250 US. I think I put a bid just over $100 US and got it. So whenever I feel rich or win a bit of tournament money, I sometimes shout myself. So the negotiator at this stage is the one. So this is my little weakness. I do want to catch a barra on my giant one, on the big one that weighs about half a kilo. Haven't done it yet. Maybe this is a season. That's it for Tackle Fridays. There's some new and cool products that's around. Come back to you next week. Got a whole week in the office next week. I'll have square eyes from video editing, but I'm sure some cool stuff will show up, and I'll show that to you then. Oh, and one final thing that I forgot. Let's let you know that on the ABT channel tonight, we caught up with Jamie McEwen and a whole box of the new MS40 Samaki Redix. They're the bait that he used in part to win the Daiwa Brim Australian Open. And at the time we recorded, he had all 3 trophies: the Australian Open, the Queensland Open, and the Grand Final. The crankbaiting pontoons technique played at all of them. So there's a few cutaways showing here, but that video, it's playing on the ABT channel tonight. By the time this is up, it'll already be up on the ABT channel, 5 o'clock on Friday. Give you some great watching. Those lures are shipping to stores now. I'm sure that any of the ABT member retailers or your favourite tackle store will have them. Go over to the ABT channel and enjoy the Reddick MS40 long cast videos with Jamie.